Hello, friends, and welcome back to Midlife Awakening. Thank you for being here with me today. Have you ever felt dismissed? Not necessarily attacked, not openly rejected, just overlooked, ignored, or underestimated. Maybe it happened at work. Maybe it happened in your family. Maybe it happened in a friendship, a ministry, or even in a season where you felt God was calling you to step forward and someone questioned your motives. Most of us know what that feels like. And if we're honest, being dismissed can hurt more than we care to admit. It can make us want to prove ourselves. It can make us defensive. It can make us withdraw. And sometimes it can even make us question who we are. Today, we're going to spend some time with David, a man who knew what it was like to be treated with disdain, misunderstood, and underestimated. Yet through it all, he learned something powerful. Your worth is determined by God's view of you, not people's opinions of you. When we first met David, he's not standing on a stage. He's not even leading an army. He's not wearing a crown. He's out in the fields tending sheep. And when the prophet Samuel came looking for Israel's next king, David's own father didn't even think to invite him. One by one, David's brothers stood before Samuel, strong, impressive, qualified, but David wasn't even considered. Can you imagine that? The future king of Israel was left out in the pasture. Sometimes the deepest disappointments don't come from strangers. Sometimes they come from the people closest to us. People who should see us. People who should believe in us. People who should encourage us. Yet even in that moment, God saw David. While everyone else was focused on outward appearance, God was looking at the heart. And maybe someone listening today needs that reminder. You may feel unseen by people, but you are never unseen by God. Later, David arrives at the battlefield where Goliath was mocking the armies of Israel. David hears the giant's challenge and begins asking questions. But before he ever faces Goliath, he faces criticism. His older brother Eliab accuses him of pride. He questions David's motives. He assumes the worst about him. David showed up to help, and instead of encouragement, he received criticism. Have you ever experienced that? You try to do something good. You step out in faith. You volunteer. You serve. You help. And someone immediately questions your intentions. David could have spent the entire day defending himself. Instead, he stayed focused on what God has placed before him. That's a lesson many of us need. Not every criticism deserves a response. Not every accusation deserves your energy. Not every misunderstanding needs to be corrected. Sometimes, the best response is simply continuing to walk in obedience. Eventually, David defeats Goliath. But here's something important. Victory didn't make the disdain disappear. Sometimes we think that if we accomplish enough, succeed enough, or prove ourselves enough, people will finally accept us. That wasn't true for David. After Goliath, King Saul became jealous of him. People questioned him. Enemies mocked him. Years later, David would even endure public humiliation and insults during Absalom's rebellion. Disdain followed him throughout much of his life, yet David continually brought his hurt to God. That's one reason the Psalms resonate so deeply with us. David didn't pretend he wasn't hurting. He didn't pretend rejection didn't sting. He poured out his heart before the Lord. He cried, he questioned, he worshipped, he trusted. David teaches us that faith isn't the absence of pain. Faith is knowing where to take your pain. But there is another story in David's life that speaks directly to this issue. It's found in 1 Samuel chapter 25. David and his men had protected the shepherds and flocks of a wealthy man named Nabal. When David later requested provisions, Nabal responded with contempt. His response was basically, "Who is David?" It wasn't simply a refusal. It was disrespect. It was disdain. David was already carrying the weight of living in caves and running from Saul. Now someone was treating him as though he were nobody. And this time, David didn't respond well. He became angry, really angry. In fact, he was preparing to take matters into his own hands. Have you noticed how hurt can do that? Sometimes it's not the major hardships that tempt us to make poor decisions. Sometimes it's the disrespect, the criticisms, the betrayal, the feeling of being misunderstood. And just when David was headed down a dangerous path, God sent someone unexpected. Her name was Abigail. Abigail approached David with wisdom, humility, and courage. She spoke truth into a moment driven by emotion. She reminded David who he was. She reminded David what God was doing in his life. And she reminded him not to make a decision he would later regret. And David listened. And because he listened, disaster was avoided. I think one of the beautiful lessons in this story is that we all need an Abigail in our lives. We need people who can speak truth when our emotions are louder than wisdom. We need friends who can lovingly challenge us. We need people who remind us of God's perspective when all we can see is our wounds. People who care more about our future than our feelings in the moment. And maybe God isn't just calling us to have an Abigail. Maybe He's calling us to be one. Maybe someone in your life is carrying hurt right now. Maybe someone is reacting from disappointment. Maybe someone is one decision away from creating a mess they will later regret. And perhaps God wants to use your encouragement, your wisdom, your kindness, and your presence to help redirect them. One reason David became the man he did wasn't because he never struggled. It wasn't because he always got it right. It was because he remained teachable. Even as God's anointed king, he was willing to receive correction. He was willing to listen when God sent wisdom through an unexpected person. That's a quality worth holding on to. Because being after God's own heart doesn't mean we never fail. It means we remain open to God's guidance. So if you've been dismissed lately, or if you've been overlooked, or you've been underestimated, remember David. The people around him saw a shepherd boy, God saw a king. The crowd saw someone too young. God saw someone prepared. Others saw limitations. God saw purpose. And the same God who saw David sees you. He sees your faithfulness. He sees your struggles. He sees the tears nobody else notices. He sees the work you're doing when nobody applauds. And his opinion of you matters far more than the opinions of people. Don't spend your life trying to convince everyone of your worth. Let God establish your identity. Keep serving. Keep trusting. Keep walking faithfully. And thank God for the Abigails he places along the way. Well, thank you for spending this time with me on Midlife Awakening. If today's episode encouraged you, please share it with a friend, follow the show, and leave a rating or review. And if you have a prayer request, testimony, or episode suggestion, I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me through the email listed on the About page. Until next time, remember, God sees what others miss, and his view of your life is the one that matters most.